The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back, Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow host, Aaron Admire, Steve Johnson. What it do, fellas?
We are back.
Not much.
Back and better than ever. Get anything fun this weekend? Admire?
I didn't do much. I just watched the fights. I was busy Saturday. I got up early, went fishing half the day, took the boat out, went fishing with my son, Devin, you know who he is. And It got too hot about 1 o'clock. We took the boat in. Then I met up with my girlfriend and her grandkids, and we took them to the pool.
I didn't know your girl had grandkids. That's what's up.
Yep.
I didn't know you had a boat either. When this happened?
Down at my lake house, I had a couple boats down there, then brought one of them up here just because I haven't been going down to the lake as much. So I got my little fishing boat here. It's little, but it does the job.
Y'all catch anything out there?
Yeah, he caught a crappie. I caught 2 channel cat and a walleye.
Damn, sounds like a pretty day. Did he take any drinks out there? I know it's good to fish. I know you have to abstain from that right now, but did he take any beers out there? It's always nice.
No, it was early, and he don't drink beer. He drinks that fruity shit, man. That boy,
White Claw?
No, he won't even drink that. Like, he's got to have, like, tequila sunrise is his drink. He's got to have fruity drinks.
Hey, to each his own with provolone. Like, I don't know shit about fishing. Can you even eat those type of fish that you caught?
No, we could have, but I usually just catch and release. I mean, it's too much pain in the ass to clean them up. I don't want to clean them around here because I live by the woods. It's gonna, bring all the animals out if I got fish guts and shit out there.
Fair enough. Shit, how's Mary like treating Devin? It's been a few months now.
Yeah, he's loving it. They had their honeymoon. They took a little cruise to Mexico. Now they're trying for a kid, trying to make me the official grandpa.
Grandpa Admire.
Yep.
Man, that'll be weird once that day comes, but I'm sure it'll kick in real quick though. That's what's up. Steve, you do anything besides work this past weekend? Or?
No, nothing much, man. Sat back. The kids' first week of school. They started yesterday, Monday, so it was more of a relaxed weekend.
Hey, nothing wrong with that either. But this past weekend we had a UFC card that we'll get into now. UFC 305 coming live and direct from Perth, Australia. I guess you kicked back at your own place to watch it, Admire, or did you go out?
Yeah, I was home watching it.
You too, Steve?
Yeah, same here.
I watched it at my place as well. It's been a while. Like the past couple pay-per-views, I've been catching it on my phone. I got the website where I could just download it. Don't try to come at me, Dana White. I know you like to come for the people that sail the high seas, but whatever. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I usually download it, and this past couple months I've been downloading it and watching it later. But I actually got to sit on my couch for the first time in a few months and watch it, so that was cool. Where do we start with this one? So I usually do research on pronounce these names, but I'm probably gonna botch these names. But let's get into the early prelims. We got at catch weight at 127, we got Jesus Santos Aguilar defeating Stuart Nicoli by technical submission. And welterweight, we had Son Keenan defeating Ricky Glenn by decision. And then at lightweight, we had Tom Nolan defeating Alex Reyes by decision. Did y'all get to catch the early prelims? Because I did not.
I did not catch the earlies.
No.
It's a submission in there, so that might be worth going back to watch, but it looks like mostly decisions. Let's move on to the prelims, which I did catch. Did I catch all the prelims? I'm thinking about it. I didn't catch the Burns fight. I caught the end of the Casey O'Neill fight. That's where I started. But at featherweight, we had Jack Jenkins defeating Herbert Burns. Gilbert's, I think it's his younger brother, by TKO. Women's flyweight, we had Casey O'Neill defeating Luana Santos by decision. At featherweight, we had Ricardo Ramos defeating Josh Culoboa by decision, split decision. And then we'll definitely get in this one. At heavyweight, we had Walter Walker defeating Junior Tafa by submission, heel hook. Did y'all get to catch the prelims?
I just went back and watched the Tafa fight because you put something in our chat about it.
Yeah, you don't see any of these prelims, Steve?
The Burns fight is a blur. I can't quite remember that, but I definitely watched the Ricardo Ramos and the Junior Tafa and Walter Walker. So coincidentally, two brothers of the UFC.
And you didn't catch the Casey O'Neill fight at all? So,
no.
huh? I guess you got occupied.
I must have, yeah. But I specifically remember, yeah.
How did I guess Burns didn't look too hot if he lost? He retired too, which you don't see a lot.
Man. Well, for what I remember, they were going at it, but it seemed like Jack Jenkins was weathering him through the fight, and he just deteriorated and got caught. From what I remember, I can't remember exactly what he got caught by.
When they say TKO by retirement, they usually mean like what I know it for boxing, they retire on the bench. I don't know what that means because it looks like from what I'm looking for the results, it looks like 48 seconds was left. So I don't know how you retire. I don't know how you TKO by retirement. You don't recall how that happened, how that played itself out, Steve?
No, I can't. I can't remember that fight too well.
Yeah, well, that might be worth going back. But look at the heavyweight that was the feature prelim on this card. Walter Walker defeated Junior Tafa by submission, that heel hook, like I said earlier. A little bit of controversy in this one because he didn't physically tap out. He didn't verbally tap out. He screamed, and the fight was called off. So initially when you saw this, Admire, what were your thoughts?
I was just like, it made me question a lot of things. I was like, well, I can kind of see the ref side of it. If you scream like that, usually that means something major happened, but doesn't necessarily mean that you should stop the fight because the fighter knows to tap if he wants, the pain to stop or the submission or the hold or whatever. So it was, I can see both sides of it. It was just really weird.
Very weird. What did you think about it, Steve?
Yeah, I can see it can go both ways. It seemed like Tafa was gaining respect with his hands, and definitely it went to the ground for Walker's favor, especially for what happened. And that was the first thing that I was looking for. Did he tap? Because when I initially saw it, I didn't see anything. So me as a UFC fan, I was disappointed that, yeah, you have to protect the fighters, but I could have said he could have waited to let Tafa see if he would tap. Although, like they said, a verbal tap is also permitted in the ring. So I guess he should have watched out for the volume, but I guess you can't hold your yell on how loud you yell. So that's unfortunate.
So before we get to the rule, what do y'all think about Tafa's post-fight antics? He was ready to fight him. He had a chance to fight him, and he didn't. So, what do y'all think about him getting in Walter's face afterwards?
Yeah, that was cheap shit. I mean, he had him anyway, so you couldn't do anything. So now that you're stood back up, you want to do something. But like, kind of back to the verbal submission thing, like, I guess the fighters are taught, because I was reading up on it, to yell tap, tap, tap if they can't tap. So I mean, it kind of blurs the lines if you start saying people submitted just for screaming or whatever. Like, I'll use Sean Strickland as an example. He likes to talk to people during his fights a lot. What if, where's the line of that? If he's talking and a ref says, nope, you submitted because you yelled something at him or some shit, like, things just would get kind of weird. So, I mean, I think there needs to be, this brings up the chance to talk about it and say there needs to be a rule in place.
It's always going to be the ref's discretion. Like, sometimes you don't even have to say anything or tap out, and they stop it. If they see it's a bad break, they can stop it.
Right.
The line's a little blurred, but I wasn't aware before this fight that in the rule book it says if you scream, the refs can call it as like a verbal tap. If you're a UFC fighter and you're a trainer, don't you drill that into your fighter the rules? Like, we know that the UFC fighters aren't the smartest people in the world. I think that's probably just a lack of knowledge of the rule book. I'd be reading the rule book up and down if I was a fighter.
Right.
I would know that. So wait, I guess you're saying that it should be more clear of a understanding. I don't think so. I feel like why are you screaming in there? Like he said, Sean Strickland chirps, but he doesn't scream at him. He might raise his voice a little bit. He doesn't scream. Like, literally scream without any words. Like,
right, but I'm just saying, like, it could blur the lines. There used to be a fighter that was on the Ultimate Fighter, Cody something, I can't remember his name. And at every fight, like every 30 seconds, he would go, woo!
That's more of a yell or a cheer. Scream, and like you could tell when a scream is in like pain.
Yeah, but even in pain, does that mean the fight should be over? I mean, the UFC is supposed to emulate what would happen in a real life, fight. You might scream in a fucking bar fight. Doesn't mean you're giving up.
I don't know. Screaming, and like you're just supposed to bite down on. Even when people get knocked out, I don't hear them scream as they're getting knocked out. Screaming is like a different thing. Yeah, I can see how the rules say they're trying to be safe for the fighters. Me and Amar, I'm kind of going back and forth. What do you think, Steve?
Like you said, that's a very blurred line, and also it's situational. They're in a submission, so and it was a middle of a turn. I guess fight need to know if they're in a compromising situation as far as submission, they better hold their because that can be easily disguised to the ref as a verbal submission. And I think based off of which ref, I don't even think that's a traditional ref that we know. As far as popularity, I don't think it was it?
I'm not sure who the ref was on that one.
I don't think it's well, to me, an everyday ref to where they would have probably treated it differently. Man, I wish I would have remembered that. And that could have probably had a lot to do with it too. A ref that doesn't have a lot of experience in those type of situations.
Yeah, but I get it though. If somebody's on the ground like that and screaming, the ref's reaction is going to be, "Oh, he's hurt, he's done." So I can see it. I can see it both ways.
So like I know with the women, especially with the women, like when they're throwing punches, they scream, but that's somebody that's dishing it out. If you're receiving it, I don't see any situation where you should be screaming unless you should be I guess not saying, but saying that you don't want any more. Like, why? Like, I get how you could say the lines are blurred, but yeah, if you're getting something put on you, and if you're screaming, then you got to know it's risking the ref stopping it.
Yeah.
But
I think Tyron Woodley had a similar situation off the top of my head. I think the rib situation when he fought somebody, I can't remember. I don't think he tapped, he yelled.
He yelled?
Was that Usman? No. I can't remember, but when he hurt his rib in a fight. And he ended up screaming out. I can't who was that? Who was after Usman?
Who won the belt after Usman? Leon Edwards?
No, Tyron Woodley after Usman. I'm trying to think of the
Didn't he
lineup.
face Kobe Covington?
There's Kobe, and then there's somebody else. He broke his
Let's see.
rib after his
Burns.
Yeah, that's what it was. Gilbert Burns.
And what was that? Would that win go down as Amire or loss or whoever won the loss?
It was a decision on that one, but I remember what Steve's talking about. I think Woodley took a good shot to the ribs or something, and
he screamed.
He yelled pretty good.
It was. I remember it was on the ground, and it was there. He was twisting in a what do you call it? A transition. As far as jiu-jitsu, he tried to turn. He hurt his ribs, and he screamed out, "Ah, my ribs!"
Well, I guess that's different than getting a submission put on you. Then you scream with a submission put on you. So
yeah,
like you said, the lines are kind of blurred. But hey, if you want to scream, then you know the risks. And I think that fight will put it on even more of in the spotlight. So hopefully, fighters, will be more cognizant of that because I don't think they're going to change the rule because they're quote unquote all about fighter safety. But yeah. I thought that was interesting. But
well, I went back to what the previous topic, the Jenkins versus Burns. What happened? Jenkins hit him a couple times, and Burns went down. And Jenkins stepped back to let him up, and Burns couldn't get back up. So pretty much a knockout. But I mean, he was offering to let him up, but he couldn't get up.
When that happened.
The fight we were talking about before this one, the Herbert Burns.
Oh, he tried to let him up. So,
and Burns couldn't get up.
They call that retirement, huh? I thought that'd be like a ref stoppage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, really, it should be a ref. It realistically is a ref stoppage. I mean, he was on the ground, he couldn't get up. I mean, it was pretty much TKO. Had to be stopped by the ref, but I guess it's a retirement if you get knocked on your ass and can't get up.
Yeah, I guess like technically, yeah, if you can't, because he physically sounded like he couldn't get up. I feel like when you see them boxing, they just quit. When you say retirement, they quitting on the bench. So, hey, the more you know. But yeah, let's go get into the main card. At welterweight, you had Carlos Prates defeating Li Jingliang by KO. Me and Amai had Prates and Steve had Ling Jingliang. What were your thoughts on this one, Amai?
It was a good fight. I mean, Lee's always a gamer, fun to watch. It was good, while it lasted into the second round. I was happy that we picked who we did.
Steve?
Yeah, it was crazy. So, matter of fact, many fighters surprised me on this card. I didn't know Carlos Prates was paying attention, but I definitely am now. Got to the punch. He was more sharper, crisper, and it seemed like Jingliang, he relies off stepping off the center line and try to catch him with the hooks. As far as an angle, and that just wasn't working for him. And Prates just starched him. He just Jingliang wasn't quick enough at all for him, and I think that was his downfall. Definitely will keep an eye on Prates because I didn't see that coming. I thought Jingliang was going to get a knockout.
In that first round, he dropped Li Jingliang 3 times. And I'm like, okay. And he's got the kid at practice. He's got some charisma to him. I'm gonna keep my eye out on him. He had the story. He's from Brazil, but he moved here to make a way in fighting. So that's always a good story. And then that second round, he was lighting them up the whole time. You know what I like though? I like his patience. When he was stinging him, he wasn't rushing in there. Like he let the knockout come to him. He didn't try to rush in it. And you know, that's like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if the fight would have went and like those moments would happen, and he didn't get the knockout, people would have been like, he should have put more foot pressure on him and his foot on the gas. But I like his patience, and the knockout eventually came. And so yeah, he was able to get him out there. He had that nasty left hook and shut the lights off on him. So yeah, I'll be paying attention. Was that welterweight? So I doubt he'll be. Was Lee ranked at Meyer? Because he's always a guy going around.
Let me get the rankings up. I think he was.
If so, it would have been like 15th or 11th. I don't think he'd be high up on there because he's been around for a while.
No, he wasn't in there. I thought he was.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see who they give Carlos next. But let's get into this next fight at heavyweight. The big boys came out to play. We had Jairzinho and Rosenstruck defeating Tai Tuivasa by split decision. And I knew this could have went either way, but I went out on a limb and said Tuivasa was going to win. I picked Tuivasa. Both of y'all picked Rosenstruck, and Rosenstruck was able to get the win. So round 1 was hard to judge. Both guys were being calculated and measured, and neither really were landing anything. And then in round 2, both guys were more active, landing heavy shots, but Rosenstruck was the more accurate and busy fighter. And then round 3, Rosenstruck started picking Tai Tuivasa apart from the outside and coasted to the win. And before we get into this judging, what are your thoughts on this fight, Admire?
It started out super fun and very close, and then as the fight went on, you just kind of seen the division. Rosenstruck ended up, the striking totals at the end, he outstruck him like 3-1. So, I mean, and that just kind of tells the story how even it was at the beginning, where that first round could have went to either one to just complete domination by the end of the third round. So. It was fun in the beginning, and then it was just complete domination. I didn't pick Tuivasa, but I kind of deep down watched it, and I was like, it'd be cool for him to win down there in front of his crowd, but it is what it is.
Steve?
Yeah, it was a very, of course, our heavyweights, a more technical fight, I think, especially for Rosenstruck. I realize that he doesn't get too sloppy often. He tries to wait to for his opponent to overstretch and almost get him on the back step on a knockout, which I feel like he couldn't do that night. I feel like he started to turn it up a little bit and start to take risk, but I thought it would be more of a firefight than this, but it lasted to a decision. I saw Rosenstruck because I just see that he was just waiting for opportunity. It's more if Tuivasa was chasing to even try to hit him more of, to me. So I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, so one of the judges, I think they had all 3 rounds for Tai Tuivasa, and didn't they remove him from the card after that, Admire, if I'm not mistaken?
Instantly pulled him off the card from there. I mean, something that blatant, and I mean, you're either not paying attention or you're playing favorites. Like, there's literally no other reason that you could have give him all 3 rounds, and you can't have a judge stay in that's going to mess up somebody's career. Luckily this wasn't like a title eliminator or some big implication fight, but they couldn't risk that going forward. That was madness.
What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, that was terrible. They probably, if it's that bad, I think that might be the first in UFC history. They probably won't even have a judging job after this. If they went to that extent.
Have you seen a judge get pulled like that? I can't recall from.
I think they said it was the first time. I can't remember which fight it was. There was a fight within the last year that something similar happened, and I thought they did it in that fight that I'm talking about. But if they're saying this is the first time, then obviously it didn't. But there was a really bad judging within the last year that Dana White like chewed the judge's ass between fights or something. I wonder if I can find it.
He's the president, but I don't know if that's within his like jurisdiction to do something like that. Like, let somebody else handle that, Dana. Like, whatever. But was that more recent?
I'm trying to see what it was.
Well, it's Dana White, so it's probably a lot you got to research to find it. So we've gotten into bad judging. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that was definitely probably the right move to do to pull that judge. So y'all think we see more of this in the future, like with these bad judging? Y'all think that they're gonna start getting pulled more? Admire.
I hope so. I mean, because it is. This isn't just for funsies and stuff, you know. This is people's careers and livelihood. I mean, it's more than just face value. They're not just a couple cage fighters fighting for peanuts. They're fighting for money, belts, sponsorships. Like, the judges got to be responsible with that. And if it's, you know, I used to see a lot of this back when the early days of the UFC, when all they had was the boxing judges come in, where they wouldn't, you know, score the way you would think. It's just MMA is too far into the game now to have bad judging.
Steve?
Yeah, highly agreed with that. Hopefully so. It would only make the sport better to not, like you said, it'd be a shame where somebody gets a loss and they're undefeated because they're incompetent judge. Hopefully what we might see that. I would like to see how that transpired to who got that ball rolling. Pretty sure probably Dana, but I wonder what the steps they did to to remove them, or if they ever got that on camera.
That'd be funny. I hope the footage does leak. That'll go viral. But going forward, since I guess this might be a new trend, if you do see more judges getting pulled, you think it should have like a type of system? Like if you get pulled from 2 fights, then you gotta like automatically, you can't ref a UFC fight for a certain amount of years. Y'all think that would be fair?
Something like that. I mean, but it's up to the athletic commission, because that's really who the judges work for. So, I mean, that the athletic commission has to do something about it. Just like, you know, in baseball, I watch a lot of baseball. There was an umpire, Angel Hernandez, that, you know, most famous umpire ever because of his bad calls. You shouldn't be famous off of being bad, and that's what some of these judges are doing. There needs to be some kind of accountability to it of, okay, you know, you scored this fight bad, the next one you're suspended for a year. Or maybe they need a retraining. Maybe they need, I don't know, maybe they need more judges, you know, because just like the other night where this happened that we're talking about, if you had like a commission of judges that are scoring it from home or whatever, and that judge's bad scorecard's read, it could be overruled by this commission of judges that are also watching. Because what keeps somebody from doing that if they want to play favorites or even put bets in?
Yeah, I think it'd just be hard to get uniform. Like you said, every state has a different commission. I think it'd just be hard to get like any type of uniform, like credential, like you know, precedent for that to happen, just because like they don't even have fights in Hawaii like that, but they'd have to have their own rule in Alaska and Maine and like. But I mean, first to start off with would be Nevada, since most fights happen there. So you'd like to see them get something done. You talk about famous bad refs. Whatever happened to Adelaide Bird? I don't really hear from her anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And the other one that I remember, wasn't it like Leon Peoples or something? Cecil Peoples.
Oh, yeah.
He used to have some wild ones because he was a boxing judge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Steve, what do you think should be some protocols put in for judges getting pulled in bad judging?
If, like I said, you have to analyze by rounds, and if it's too far apart from an average of at least 2 of the 3 judges, I think you should be looked under, and as far as analyze if you can judge a fight again, because that was terrible. And like I said, I would like to know, in the athletic commission, literally, are these people I don't even think they're so much trained to even, like we talked about before, in these MMA fights, because it's newer than the boxing ones, and I bet you they have their boxing, the seniority probably goes to the boxing, and then hopefully they don't think about that, treat MMA as treat the secondary people at the athletic commission to do MMA, which they don't care about, because it seems like the way they judge these things, it's like they're there for a check. And are these people there that just winging it, so to speak?
How much are these judges getting paid?
That's a good question. Let's see. Let's see what they make.
Because
they don't make a lot. They don't make a lot. The top earners for UFC judges make about $60,000 a year.
So for these decisions to be so wild, then they're getting paid under the table by somebody. That's
Could be.
I could think.
So I went back and I found the one I was talking about. It was Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. One of the judges gave the last round a 10-8, like when it was pretty evenly matched. And that's the one, but the judge wasn't pulled from it, but Dana White went off about that. I mean, there's been some really crazy judgings. The other one that people called into question was the Sean Strickland Paulo Costa fight recently. One of the judges scored some in favor of Costa, where he really didn't do anything.
So I remember that Grasso fight. It was the second one when it ended up being a draw. That it shouldn't have been a 10-8 round, but it corrected itself, because I think, from what I recall, I remember Shevchenko getting a round that she shouldn't have won. So that 10-8 round,
she won a round earlier in the fight where she got dropped, where she shouldn't have won that round. Yeah. So it's almost like the judge corrected it by giving that a 10-8 round, which that's not how you judge.
Yeah, it should have got that knockdown round correct in the first place. So it's a mess, but I think we'll be talking about this in the future anyway. So, but we're a combat sports show, so whenever it happens, we'll keep talking about it. It's a constant cycle. But let's go to this next fight, fellas. In the lightweight division, we had Dan Hooker defeating Mateusz Gamrot by split decision. All 3 of us had Gamrot, but Hooker was able to get the win. So I picked the wrong home tide guy. And round 1, this was definitely an interesting round. Gamrot was dominating most of the round, and he was mixing it up good with that stand-up and ground and pound, and it almost got him out of there with the ground and pound. And then with about a minute left, Hooker caught Gamrot with that left hook, and Gamrot seemed to be shaky. I don't think that was enough to steal Hooker the round, but I guess that was the start of Hooker gaining more momentum. And round 2, Gamrot got the takedown early and control Hooker on the ground for about half the round, but then Hooker was able to get back up, and Gamrot got him down briefly again, but Hooker was able to defend the takedown pretty well for the rest of that round, and was landing some good elbows. while Gamrot was trying to take him down. But that was a hard round to judge. And then round 3 was a back and forth one. Gamrot tried to take Hooker down, but Hooker defended it really well in that last round. Then with a few seconds left in the round, he landed that hook and was able to steal the round. This fight was hard to judge, but I still had Gamrot winning the fight, but you can't be mad at Hooker getting the decision as well. I don't know if it was a hometown cooking, but what were your thoughts on this one, Amar?
Yeah, this is a fun fight. The way that it started out, I thought Gamrot had, really good chance, and then he kind of got rocked towards the end of that first round. And I don't know, it seems like the more you pressure Dan Hooker, the more he turns it up. But Gamrot kind of came out of it, in the second round, was still going for the takedowns. I think I scored this for Gamrot as well, but like you said, you can't really be mad at it for Hooker. Hooker looked really good in this fight. So excited to see where he goes. I don't think Gamrot should really fall back much since it was such a good, close fight. I'd like to see them fight again someday. I mean, it was such a evenly matched fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at seeing a rematch. I don't know if we'll see that soon, but maybe down the line. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, I see how Gamrot, as far as like what he's done, how he could have won, but just far as how I know Dan Hooker is, and I counted him out, and how he defended takedowns at all, and to what he was even able to do. Big ups to Dan Hooker, because I really did count him out. Looking at let's see, Gamrot, like we spoke about, Saryukin. I thought it would be a total domination on the ground, and Dan Hooker handled himself. And based off of Dan Hooker's past fights, I didn't think he would be able to stick up to his stand up, because I figured he had a glass chin. But and although in the first round it looked like Gamrot was about to land a few of them that were real close, but he ended up, like you said, it landed that left, and I think that's what shifted the whole fight for him. Had him on loose legs. So big ups for Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I mean, neither guy. No, Hooker's ranked. Hooker's the top 15, right? So
Dan Hooker, number 5, and he moved up for that. Gamrot fell back to number 8.
So Hooker's in an interesting place. He shot up there. He went up 6 spots. Yeah, I don't know, man. Y'all feel like Dan Hooker's a top 5 fighter in the lightweight division?
Well, I mean, he's lost. I think he's lost to like Poirier and Gaethje, and I think he's already lost to Makhachev, I believe. So I mean, the only fights up there for him above him are Oliveira and Saruki, and I don't think he's fought them yet. I'd have to look and see, but like, yeah, everybody else has beat him. Poirier's beat him, Chandler's beat him, Makhachev, Arnold Allen beat him. That is quite a big jump.
So I don't know if they would put him in there with Oliveira. Sarukian might be, but does Makhachev have anything lined up? It's hard to keep up with these fight announcements. They turn them out like a factory nowadays, the announcements.
Let me see. I thought I heard something lined up.
Islam fight Hooker already?
Yeah. I think he choked him out in the first round.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dan Hooker's not gonna get a title shot, but I was saying, as far as Sarukian goes, because Sarukian is ranked number 1. So I haven't heard anything about a fight, because he just fought at the beginning of summer. So Makhachev's pretty calculated on the opponents that he picks.
Oh, I guess he don't have anything lined up.
So I would say that Sarukian probably gets the next shot. I don't think they'll run the Oliveira fight back for some reason. Not the next fight. Gaethje's not getting it. Poirier's not getting it. I just don't see Dan Hook. I mean, shit. I mean, since Makhachev fought 2 through 4, it's either Sarukian or Hooker. That's crazy to think about because I feel like Dan Hooker's been like a journeyman, like a gatekeeper. He's a little bit more than a journeyman, but like a gatekeeper. Like he's always like
He's been alternating losses pretty much since like 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll win 2 or 3 here, there, but then he'll throw in a loss. I mean, like I said, he's still in his last 10 fights, he's got 4 losses.
So yeah. I mean, I don't know if the judging will go in his favor once he comes back stateside. So whatever he does, I hope he has a good manager. He needs to strike while the iron's hot, because if he does get a title shot, this will be the small window that he gets it in. I don't know how much pay-per-view that sell, but I guess that's a topic for a different show. Let's get into the co-main event, fellas. At flyweight, we had Kai Kara-France defeating Steve Erceg by TKO. I had Kai Kara-France at Meyer, and Steve had Erceg. So in round 1, for most of that round, both guys were trying to find their groove. Then with about a little more than a minute left, Kai missed with the right, then cracked him with that overhand left and hurt him badly. And then Erceg scrambled for a little bit. And Kai finished him off with that right hand, and it was good night, Irene. What are your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight while it lasted, but you could just see kind of Kai Kara-France kind of pulled away, landing the harder shots and everything. And Steve Erceg, I kind of noticed about halfway through the first round, he kind of looked panicked or just kind of looked overwhelmed, like shit. He wasn't getting his licks in. But yeah, shout out to Kara-France. I mean, looked good while I was in there.
And that was because Kai Kara-France looked a lot smaller than Erceg, so it's crazy to see somebody that small carry that kind of power. What were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Yeah, that's what I didn't expect. Plus, those flyweights are so technical. I mean, that thing came fast when he caught him. All you heard was a pop, and didn't expect that, especially from Kai Kara-France and his performance. I thought Steve Erceg would get it done, but it shows that, to me, hopefully his next opponent will prove it, Kai Kara-France's, but it looks like he's been working on his stand-up and his for what it looked like, pop on his shots, because he hit him pretty hard.
He did. Yeah, it was definitely an impressive victory by Kai Kara-France. And if you look at the rankings, he didn't move. He stayed at the spot that he was. I think Erceg may have dropped. Erceg dropped this one spot, but Kai Kara-France stays at number 4. So where does Kai Kara-France go from here, Admire?
I would say probably a contenders fight to come up. Whoever they want to throw him against. We'll see, but I would think it would be a contenders fight.
Against who though? If you look at the top 3, we have Brandon Royval, who fought for the title, lost. Moreno, I mean, he's always going to be in contention. Then you have Amir Albazi, who you would think, I guess, would probably be the next contender for Pantoja. So what do you think? He faces like a Moreno, I guess?
He's already lost to Moreno 3 fights ago.
Well, you could run it back, though.
You could do that. He hasn't fought Royval. Oh, yeah, he has. He's lost to those top 3 people.
But that's the thing about flyweight. Like, it feels like it's always been the same people fighting each other, shuffled around, and hasn't really been a lot of fresh people that stepped up to the plate. So,
yeah, you're going to have to run it back with one of those unless you just let him sit and fight for the belt.
Steve?
Yeah, he may have to sit. Well, I don't even remember the fighting Brandon Royval, but I guess that I guess he did.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago exactly.
Yeah, and that is that the furthest one out of all the three?
Well, he's lost to Morano twice, once in 2022, once in 2019.
So one of those is about what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, but then he lost again to him 2 years ago, and then he lost to Amir a year ago.
I would say either one of those three. It depends on his winning streak also, to me, if he gets that shot.
Yeah, this is his first win coming off of 2 losses. I don't think beating Steve Ursig gets you a title shot, though.
Yeah, that's what. Dang, I think he was gonna have to sit.
So somehow, even though Albazi's ranked in that was he ranked? He's ranked number 3. So somehow he's been able to avoid everybody except Kai Kara France. I feel like it's a lot of matchups you can make with Albazi, including the title shot. So, And as far as Pantoja goes, Pantoja, he fought like everybody, those guys that we talked about, except for Kai Kara France and Albazi. So it's definitely some interesting carousel options they could go with. Yeah, it's just weird. I think you just have to go Albazi next for Pantoja. And I think, like Amai said, I think Kai Kara France just has to sit because I don't think they're running one of those rematches back. But,
yeah, especially if they run one of the rematches, the loser is not going to fall very far because it's still them people at the top. So it's like it's not even worth it to hurt somebody's stock when they're still going to stay at the top 3.
That's true. All in all, they just need like 15 from 7 to just step their game up, and so we can see more matchups because same guy cycling around. But guess we'll see how it shakes out in the near future. But fellas, talk about the main event in the middleweight division for the middleweight championship. We had Dricus du Plessis defeating Israel Adesanya by submission in the 4th round, face crank. Admire had DDP, and me and Steve both had Adesanya. So round 1, I think both guys had their moments. I think Izzy had more volume, but I think DDP had the more powerful shots. I think Izzy won that round. Admire thought DDP won that round, but it's a moot point because the way the fight ended. Round 2, I think Izzy was better on the feet, but DDP neutralized it with the grappling and got 3 takedowns and controlled the clinch, and he definitely won that round. Round 3 was a back and forth war. I think Izzy edged him out with the striking, but DDP did land some powerful shots and kept the round close. And then go to round 4. Izzy controlled a lot of the that round on the feet. Then deep in the round, DDP was able to rush him and caught him with that left hook, and then again with 2 right hands that floored him. And then he sank in that face crank, and it was over. And still, your undisputed middleweight champion, DDP, Dricus du Plessis. What were your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, it was a good back and forth fight. I mean, they both had a lot of big moments in it. I felt like DDP won 1 and 2. I think Izzy was winning the last 2. I pulled the judges' scorecards and they were all over the place too, but they did have DDP winning up into round 4. There were so many moments in that fight. I seen DDP kind of just slow down, and I thought, okay, this is going to be the time that Izzy just 3 pieces him and he's done, and he just held on. But it was kind of the same way. There was a lot of moments where DDP had Izzy in trouble. I think they were both very tired by the end, and DDP was just able to get that last little run, that led up to the submission. So, I mean, I think it was a great fight,
Steve?
Yeah. It was a good fight. We always expect Izzy not to go to the ground a lot. He shooted very few times in a fight, but of course we didn't expect him. And then I think DDP loathed him in to think it was going to be a stand-up fight and surprised him with takedown. I don't think he expected that, and added multiple layers to just a kickboxing fight. Um, I was impressed of Duplessis. Every time that it seemed like Izzy was trying to establish respect and power, he would automatically shoot off. Like Izzy would throw a leg kick, he would be back and forth, left, right hooks, very quick after the strike on Izzy to make sure Izzy was on his toes. And I think that frustrated Adesanya a lot. It wasn't intimidated, didn't sit there too much to get picked on as far as um, to be attacked. I think his kickboxing repertoire, I think it helped him a lot in this fight as far as his IQ and definitely adding that other dimension of takedown. I think that's what won him the fight.
Yeah, like both of y'all said, it was a good back and forth fight. Probably if it would have went to the 5th round, that probably would have been the deciding round if Emma was saying that DDP was up on the judges' scorecard. But I don't know. I feel like this has been a trend with Izzy. I mean, he just got dominated in the Strickland fight, but this happened with the first Pierre fight. I think he was winning like all of the rounds in that one, and then he had like a mental lapse and got knocked out. And this one, he had a mental lapse and got submitted. And then in the Strickland one, he just got dominated. So I guess that one's an outlier. But I don't know, is it a mental one or is he just tired that he like has chances to win these fights and just makes one mistake that causes him to fight? Admire.
I think it might be kind of a he gets tired towards the end. If you look at his losses, like the TKO from Alex was 5th round. Sean Strickland, it did go to a decision, but Izzy was kind of shut down towards the second half of the fight. The DDP fight, 4th round. So I think it's that he just kind of mentally gets exhausted, once he hits that certain point in the fight.
Yeah, definitely. Steve?
Yeah, definitely seems like it. He's sharp in the beginning. Seems like you can't get him. And I saw one of his clips. He said, he said that he didn't get caught. He slipped as far as that first before he fell down. I don't know about that.
I'm talking about in the 4th round.
Yeah, if that's the case, I mean, to me, they were tired and more likely you're able to slip. And like you said, it seems like in the fights that his chances are diminished to get a highlight knockout, and it's just a sparring match to him till something catches. And I don't think that style worked for him for what DDP was doing. To sit there and pick on your opponent, which he wasn't letting him do. I think that was literally the factor.
So you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So you think Izzy will be able to clean that up? Because it sounds like he's not done. Some people were speculating he might retire, win, lose, or draw. Well, like, what does he need to do to clean that up, Admire?
I'm wondering if he needs to go to like a sports psychiatrist or something, or change up camps, just do something different, not completely different, because, he made it to the belt. He made it to the big show. So there was something there, but he's going against these different guys that kind of seem to just have his number. So he needs to try something a little bit different. I think a lot of people have kind of learned now you know, what we just talked about. If you can drag him into deep waters, he might mentally break or kind of shut down. So he's got to switch something up.
Well, before I get to your stuff, Steve, I don't know if these guys necessarily have his number. He just keeps facing these different styles where he can't adapt to like on the fly, like you see a John Jones does, because we see if he goes to a rematch, he'll probably beat you. He beat Alex Pereira in the rematch. Like I wouldn't be convinced that he would lose a rematch to both DDP and Strickland. So I think it's like in-fight adjustments is his problem, but I think rematch he'll probably be good. What are your thoughts, Steve?
I just I think there's more emphasis on people, especially when you're heavily marketed as a striker, to lose to striker, which means it means more to where your stock goes down as far as that area of your expertise. You would figure that Izzy would get nervous to these ground game guys, but we see that his losses aren't even from ground guys sometimes. And don't get me wrong, these are good, formidable people as far as strikers, but I think it's just gap. I mean, you figured that he would be learning on the way as far as his ground game, but we didn't even see him, try to mix it up or anything for real his past fights. I think his problem is his style. It's so ironic, calls himself style bender, but only has one style as far as his striking.
That's kind of true, which is ironic. But yeah. So DDP, it was like his style, it was impressive that even when he was tired, he was still able to come forward. I guess, yeah. I guess did Dana White already announced it? Is Strickland next?
Yep, it will be next.
And I'm guessing that's be probably next year, beginning next year. I don't know, man. DDP kind of gives me Leon Edwards vibes. Like, I'm not fully convinced that he's going to be some dominant champion that just runs through everybody. I still need to see more. So I guess this Strickland fight will tell a lot. I don't even know how that fight goes because it was so close to the first one. I don't know if I'm too excited to see the rematch, but it's going to happen. So what do you think? I guess we're gonna predict it when it gets there, but early thoughts on that fight. You see it going the same way. Maybe Strickland figures out something, Admire.
Man, I don't know. Like their first fight, it was kind of boring. I mean, it looked pretty evenly matched, and just it didn't have everything that we thought it would be. And I agree with what you said. He kind of reminds me of a Leon Edwards type, but looking at his record, maybe it's a little bit different. He's got a submission over Izzy and Darren Till. He's got TKOs over Derek Brunson and Robert Whitaker. So, I mean, DDP is, getting people out of there, but I don't know. I don't know if he has, I don't know. He doesn't have that big, like, wow, this is the next superstar feeling.
At all. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, he doesn't have a dominant force ender. He's like almost, I could say almost comparable to a Volkanovski. He's not doesn't win in a specific way, but he just gets the job done, and that's what I feel like DDP is.
Yeah, he's not great at one thing. He's just good at everything.
Mm-hmm. And nothing too overly, oh my God, you better watch out for his or this and that. He can do it, but haven't seen enough to see if he has a dominant force in any part of the fighting game. I think he has an average and all, not average, but a good enough to be good to get the job done, to where, say, when and Pierre was middleweight, you definitely have to look out for his left or his striking at that. That's what I think about him.
So we talked about DDP. Israel Adesanya sounds like he's not done. So where do you go with him after this, Admire?
Well, I mean, he's lost to DDP. He's lost to Strickland. I mean, you're gonna have to run back some fights with some people that he's beat in the past.
I don't want to see him and Whitaker again. But
No.
you got Imavov. I don't want to see Cannonier again. That fight was horrible. Huh?
I don't know, man.
Not bad.
I mean, Izzy has a name that he can carry a card on his own. If I was him, I'd be looking for money fights. Move up to 205 or do some money fights at a catch weight, like a 195.
We saw what happened at 205. He's not big enough for that division. He'd be perfect for 195, but UFC doesn't have not 195 that super middleweight division. I know a lot of the regional has that division, but yeah, catch weight I guess wouldn't be bad. But
I mean, realistically, what he should do, he should wait and see what happens with Strickland and DDP. I don't think they're going to give Izzy a instant rematch, coming off a loss to both of them. He's going to have to fight somebody. I would fight somebody way down the line just to say you got to win, and they can justify giving him another title shot. Put him in there against against Paulo Costa again.
Nah, I don't want to see that fight, especially how the nonsense Costa. Why not put him against Imavov? I don't think he should wait. I think he should, get some reps in the cage. And I think the Imavov fight, I think it'd be bad stylistically for him, but
he's got to do something to get his confidence back somewhere. Because like the pre-fight thing, he got real emotional. You could see he's an emotional guy. So this loss is probably hurting him a little bit. So he needs to do something to get that confidence back.
He did get emotional before the fight, but he didn't fight emotionally, which was surprise. But yeah, I don't know. What were you throwing him in there with, Steve?
It's very hard to say. As far as like Duplessis?
No. Israel
Adesanya?
Yeah.
It's very hard to say because I think of course he still has his stardom. I think it's people may have started to lose faith in him to where he's probably going to have to risk somebody that he doesn't think that is worth his time. I would say anybody that's top three. I mean, for real, he really can't be picky after that loss.
But I mean, if you look at the top three, though, Strickland is going to be in the fight. He is number 2, and I don't know. I don't know if you run that Whitaker fight back. He already beat him twice.
No. I say maybe you have to sit. I mean, dang, he just got done sitting, but I don't know. It's very hard considering
You got Nasruddin Imavov at number 4.
I guess he can entertain that.
I mean, that'd be his worst nightmare. That's a Dagestani.
Yeah.
This is mixed martial arts. You got to test your metal in there. Strickland beat Imavov.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it's the thing about it is he, like you said, he does have his flaws down the stretch of a fight, but I don't think he has like a big glaring hole as far as the stand-up. I mean, his takedown defense is pretty good. I mean, when he does get taken down, I can see like he does have some working on as far as being able to get back up. I don't like how long he's down there when he gets taken down. So that's definitely something he can work on. But I don't know. I think he should get back in there for the MSG card. I don't think he took a lot of damage. He tapped out instantly. I was kind of taken aback by how fast he tapped out. They're saying it's a face crank. Maybe that's why. Because what was the fight? I don't know if it was on the was it Hooker or was it on the preliminary card? It might have been Ramos. Like that rear naked choke was sunk in deep and he didn't tap out. He was able to fight. I don't know if it was Ramos. I mixed up some of the fights, but I'm guessing if it's a face crank, that's a different type of pressure. So I thought it was a RNC tapped out to Adesanya. I'm guessing it wasn't according to the results, but I don't know. But overall, were y'all pretty entertained by this card?
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. I mean, especially like the Hooker fight, Kai Car France, and the main event. It was just cool all the way around, and one of the better cards in a while.
Yeah, it kept anticipation into the next one. The big boys fighting, then Kai Car France getting that knockout, and then of course Israel. It didn't seem like a drag to stay up and watch the card. Although I felt, the drowsy kicking it in, I was definitely up more than other cards, these past ones.
You weren't entertained by the London card with Edwards?
Yeah, yeah, that was more of I think a struggle too. Like I said, these past few cards, I had to force myself to stay up because it's I guess how they set up the fights up, building up, and the performance of them. So
True. Well, I was pretty entertained by it. And I think the main event was the most entertaining fight, and you had some moments. So all in all, it was a pretty decent card. But in these upcoming weeks, we have 2 Apex cards. Man, I don't see if I have some time, I might do a quickie episode, but these aren't anything worth on hooting and hollering about. Well, I guess we could do some quick picks, but that's not going to count towards our records that we've been doing. But Jared Cannonier versus Kyle Borrello. He's a pretty interesting dude, the fight nerd guy. Cannonier, I mean, he's always at the precipice of getting some big title fight and then he loses. Who y'all think wins that fight? That's next week.
Borrello. I think Borrello takes that one.
I think so as well. What do you think, Steve?
I can say I can't remember about Borrello's ground game, but it seemed that Cannonier can be susceptible to be caught too, and Kyle been knocking people out. I think his past previous fight. So
and he's on a crazy win streak.
Yeah, and not to be saying all Brazilians know jiu-jitsu, but I mean probably has a ground game too to defend Cannonier's takedown. So yeah, we'll have to see.
That's next weekend. And then on September 7th, you got another fight night in the Apex. You got Andrade on there, Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. I guess that'd be interesting. But at the top of it, it was where you got Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. Who y'all think get that one?
I try not to bet against Gilbert Burns. I know he's been having his ups and downs. Brady's got a good record. I'll take Burns just because.
Steve?
I'll take Burns because I like the pressing forward he does. Killed or be killed attitude. I feel like the way he fights. So I'll just go for him.
We've seen Gilbert Burns have some slip-ups and lose, and the only person that Sean Brady's lost to is the champ, Bilal. I think I'll go Sean Brady on this one to squeak out it might be exciting, but I think it might be a tactical fight. So I'll let him I'll pick the decision on that one. But and then after that, we got the big one. First time ever in the Spare, September 14th. UFC 306, co-main evented by the two tough coaches. I've been actually watching this tough season, Alexa Grasso and Vatina Shevchenko with the women's flyweight. And then Ami's favorite fighter, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Babashvili for that bantamweight championship. So we will be back next month to preview and predict that one. That should be a fun one to talk about, being in the spare. But yeah, we come to the end of the show. That'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Make sure to follow us and like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow on X, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on one plot, I leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest, sitting on the top, and I'm laughing at the